When mapping out a plot, it's always essential to remember that it has to start with an initial setting. A setting, as we know, is the time and place. The author has to establish that first. So the setting is the first part of a plot map. Where is this taking place? From that point on, we can move forward, rising, upwards, which we call the rising action. And when the rising action starts, at one point, we have to have what is called a conflict. In order for a social message to be achieved, a conflict has to exist. Conflicts can be between two people, it can be between a person and themselves, it can be between a person and nature, and it can be a person versus society. Very important to remember that. So once the initial conflict happens at the beginning of our plot chart, we can continue. As a conflict gets worse, tension begins to rise. This is called the rising action point, and it gets worse and worse and worse. Again, this is called the rising action. It's where tension in the conflict starts to get higher and higher and higher until a boiling point. Usually, as the tension gets higher, there are several points in the plot chart where we have plot shifts to make it worse and worse. These are called, again, the rising action. Finally, it explodes at the top where the tension erupts, and this is the highest part of a story. The highest part, for instance, if we were to look at Game of Thrones, the highest point of tension of the entire series would be at the top, would be the White Walkers' attack. Finally, the White Walkers attacking King's Landing. The climax, therefore, is the name of this highest point of tension. Afterwards, what happens is a fallout from the conflict, and it goes down. This is called lowering action. Until finally the conflict is resolved in a certain way, where characters meet an end to their quarrels, and this is called a resolution. So again, we have all of these things. A resolution could be the ending of the story, what did our characters learn, or what was the fallout as a result of the conflict. So the rising action side, and on this side, we have the falling action side. Your goal is you're going to want to be able to identify the setting and place, the conflict, the climax, and the resolution. But you also have to take note of the plot shifts that could occur on the way up and on the way down.